Hey guys, welcome back again to grownuspodcast. It's your host Njeri or Catherine, and for this week's episode, I wanted to share 25 lessons I've learned now that I am 25. I turned 25 last week. This is a thing that people do, and I wanted to jump on that like wagon. So 25 things I learned now that I'm 25. And the first lesson is I have a list right here. So if you see me looking down, I'm just like reading my list, right? My first lesson is that everything you want starts with you loving yourself. And this is a lesson that I've learned progressively, but the lesson has really like sunk in only like recently. And I just learned that before anything actually and really like happens to your life, you need to love yourself as you are, accept who you are. It's really the first step to everything, because when you love yourself, when you accept yourself just as you are, you're going to be kinder to yourself, which means you're going to be kinder to the people around you, which means you're not going to let people treat you not right, and you're generally just going to feel so much better about yourself. You're going to feel like your life is so much better when you begin to love yourself. If there's one thing that you should take from this video, is everything that you want really begins with you loving yourself. The second lesson is, I'm going to go really fast because I don't want this to be long, and it's 25 lessons and we begin discussing each lesson at length. This video is going to go to 2 hours and we don't want that. The second lesson is, listen to your body. Your DNA has been here long enough. Listen to your body. Most of the time, your body is going to like communicate to you what it wants, how it feels around certain areas, around certain people, with certain foods, and you're just going to like ignore it. But your DNA has been here it has been here long enough, and you might think that it doesn't really know. You might think that your body is just overreacting. Like, you might be feeling anxious about something and just like, my body is probably like overreacting, but you need to listen to it. You need to understand why it is that it's communicating whatever it is that it's communicating, and then you need to deal with that. So learn to listen to your body. Learn to know when your body does this, what exactly is it communicating to you. And it will improve your relationship with your body, and when you and your body are like on the same wavelength, your life becomes so much better, because you know what to avoid, you know what brings you joy, you know what to work on. The third lesson is, do what you want to do without first trying to seek for approval and acceptance. So I've done this a couple of times, and I've done this with a podcast. I've done this with a lot of my decisions. I'd speak to friends about it. I'd speak to family about it. And what I was trying to do there was seeking for approval, or seeking for someone to tell me that, do it, you're right, you should do this. But there's one thing I know, that you already know what you want. Even when you're speaking to people about a project or about anything really, you already know what you want to do. And you going to speak to people about it to see whether or not they approve of what you want to do, that's just you trying to like find people to affirm your decision. And when they don't, you begin to doubt yourself, you begin to doubt your goals, you begin to doubt your dreams, and you're going to get confused, because on one hand is this one thing that you really want to do, and on the other hand it's the people that you really wanted to affirm your decision, the people that you really wanted them to like support your dreams and your goals. And when they don't, there's going to be this pull, and you're going to be torn between following your dreams and listening to the people that you love, or to the people whose opinion you really care about. But if there's one thing I know, it's that if you have a dream or if you have this goal, it's really unfair for you to expect everyone else to see whatever it is that you see. When something is your dream, when something is your goal, you shouldn't really expect anyone else to see whatever it is that you're seeing, or to see as far as you are seeing, or to know the abilities that you believe you have. Or don't just expect everyone that's around you, whether you love them or not, whether you care for their opinion or not, you shouldn't really expect them to see your goals the way you do, or see your dreams the way you do. The dreams are yours for a reason. And so do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Don't try to seek approval or support from people first before like doing it, especially if it doesn't really affect them in any way. The fourth lesson is read, watch, listen to whatever the heck you want to read, watch, or listen to. Like, who cares about reviews? Who cares what's popular right now? Who cares? Who cares really? Like, you know what you want, you know what you like, you know what it is that you're looking for when you are reading certain things, when you're listening to certain music or certain people. You know what you want. And like listening to looking for reviews to know whether or not you fall under like the category of cool people or whatever, like don't do that. Because if you go looking and you find that whatever it is that you like, other people hated it, you're just going to like begin feeling bad for nothing, and you're going to try and read, watch, listen to things that are popular just so you can like fit in. And that's just betraying yourself. It's betraying who you are. And I've done this a couple of times. I've been embarrassed of the things I like to watch, or I've been embarrassed of the kind of music I like to listen to, because I told someone about it and they thought it was lame, and I just became very guarded about it, and I began to like try and find the most popular things at the time, even when I didn't really like whatever was popular at the time. And right now it's not even popular anymore. So like, what is the point? There's really no point in chasing trends. There's really no point in chasing what's popular. Just do what you like. Read what you like. Listen to the music that you like. Sample if you want to, but don't do it out of peer pressure. Okay? And if you sample something and if it doesn't feel right with your spirit, then abandon it. Be yourself. Be yourself, and be yourself loudly. Be proud to be who you are. I think most of the lessons are going to be like surrounding loving who you are and accepting who you are in a world that tells you not to. The fifth lesson is be a bit kinder to yourself and to people around you. I've had so many instances where I've not been very kind to myself and I've not been very kind to other people. And it haunts me up to now when I think about it. But upon self-reflection, I know why I did that. And it's because I wasn't really kind to myself. And do you know how you treat yourself is exactly the way you are going to treat other people. And I was really hard on myself at some point, very huge point in my life, and my actions translated to how I treated other people. But right now, I'm really working on treating myself right, and in turn, I've seen the difference. I treat other people. I've begun treating other people differently, and yeah, be a bit kinder to yourself. Because you're human, other people are human, you're bound to make mistakes. Yeah, so if there are mistakes to be made, make them, and the sooner you make them, the sooner you move forward. Yeah, so be kinder to yourself. If there's mistakes you've done, forgive yourself for them and learn and move forward. Yeah. The sixth lesson is if you get a chance to make a choice between yourself and somebody else, choose yourself. This is what's best in the situation, because when there's pressure to choose somebody else, you're going to have the same expectations. I've talked about this on a previous episode. When you're in a situation and you choose someone else over yourself, one, you're betraying yourself, and second, you're going to have expectations for that person to also make the same decision if they're presented with the same set of choices, and it would be unfair to do that. It's unfair for you to expect other people to choose you just because you've chosen them. And I think it's only fair for everyone to choose themselves in every situation so that nobody's expecting the other person to make sacrifices for them. And yeah, I think that's just so much better for everybody because everyone's living their own life. And yeah, don't betray yourself. I think as we grow up, we tend to look outside more than we look within. And so we tend to forget that we are also a person, you're also human, and we're just looking outside. And when you're presented in such a situation, you're not thinking about how you would feel if someone chose someone else over you. And that's exactly what's happening when you decide to choose someone else over yourself. You're betraying yourself. And yeah, that's really it. The next lesson is the past is gone. The future is still out of reach. It's really out of your control to some extent. And all you have right now is the present. So be in the present moment. Reflect on the past, of course. And do think about the future. Maybe plan for it, but don't obsess over the past or over the future. Try as much as possible to be in the present moment. Live in the present. And yeah, enjoy your life right now. Because nobody really knows if you're going to be here tomorrow, right? Yeah, so be in the present. The other lesson is doing nice things for yourself is not a waste of time or resources. You're also important, and you're the main character in your life. So I used to have this terrible habit where if I need to do something, or if I have to do something, and I realize that I'm only doing it for me, and like there's no one else benefiting out of it, I'm not going to do it, because I'm just like, if it's only for me, why do I need to make the effort? And that's such a, I don't know, it's putting yourself in such low levels and treating yourself like you're not important. And that's really wrong, because if you continue to do such things, then you're training your mind to believe that you are not important, that you are, yeah, that you're not worthy of time and resources. And that's just such a terrible way to live. So do nice things for yourself. Cook, like for instance, I'd never like make a meal if it's just for me. I'm just like, what's the point? I can just like sit here and not use my resources or my energy to make something nice for myself. But I'm also important, and I also deserve to be treated to nice things. I also deserve to be loved by myself, especially. Yeah. The other lesson is don't rush, and maybe stay away from people who rush you into doing things, into making decisions. I usually get this anxiety. I've always had it with rushing into things or people rushing me with things. And I think it's because I've grown up being rushed to do everything, really. And when I think about it, especially in my adult life right now, everything that I've rushed into, everything that I've rushed into investing, everything that I've rushed into, for instance, if it's getting a job, if the process was very rushed, if I was being rushed to make a decision to accept it or reject it, if I was being rushed, just anything that's been done in a rush, it has always ended up in a lot of losses. It has ended up in a lot of regrets. So these days, I try as much as possible not to rush into things, to stay away from people that force me to rush into things. And yeah, these days, I usually like to take some time to think about things, to reflect, to ensure that whatever it is I want to make a decision on is something that I'm sure about, so that I don't regret later on, when I'm looking back and I'm just like, if I had just given myself a bit more time to reflect and think about this thing, then I wouldn't have made this mistake. So yeah, don't rush into things. It always ends up in, yeah, it doesn't end up great. That's what I'm trying to say. The other lesson is that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. And yeah, ever since you're children, you feel like you have to prove yourself in school, like, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. At home, it always feels like you need to prove yourself, like you're a good child, you're a good student, you're a good girl, you're a good boy. And yeah, with exams, you need to prove yourself, like it's like you're worthy to go to this high school, you're worthy to go to this uni, you're worthy of pursuing this course. And to some extent, it's necessary. But when you grow a bit older, you realize that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone, really. Like, if people say you are this, or you're good at this, you're not good at this, you really don't have to prove yourself to anyone. The only person you owe to prove yourself to is yourself. The other lesson is, I think this is in relation to the previous one, is that every time you wake up, you make a decision to do something or not to do something. Like, every time you're doing anything, you get up, just as you continue to live life, you're making decisions. And with each decision that you make, you prove something to yourself subconsciously. And this is in regards to if you tell yourself that you are going to do something at this time, or you're going to do something as soon as you wake up, and you don't do it, you prove something to yourself. You prove something to your subconscious. Your subconscious is always taking notes. And so every time you don't keep your word, especially to yourself, you are proving something to yourself. You're proving to yourself that you are not dependable, that you can't keep your word. And then you realize that as time goes by, it begins to become very hard for you to say you're going to do something and actually do it. But it's because subconsciously you already don't believe yourself. You don't trust any word that comes out of your mouth, because you've proven to yourself that you cannot depend on yourself. So yeah, remember that every time you make any decision, every time you decide to do or not to do something, you're proving something to yourself. Yeah. Lesson number 12 is, don't be afraid to look stupid. Don't be afraid to look like a beginner. Don't be afraid to look like you're trying. Yeah. It's so hard. Like, the sentence is very simple, but it's so hard not to be afraid to look stupid or to not look like a beginner. But as I was watching Beyonce's film, there was a dance she was learning, and there was a dance she was learning. I'm not sure if this is the exact instance that she said this, but she said that she's never afraid to look like a beginner, because she knows that for her to be really good at anything, she needs to start as a beginner. And she says that every time you're beginning to learn any kind of dance, you're always going to look stupid. You're always going to look like, you don't know, and it's because you don't know. But as you continue to learn, as you begin to practice, then you begin to get better at it, and you can hopefully become a master at it. And so she says that she's not afraid, especially when it comes to dance. She's never afraid of looking terrible, being terrible at it, because she knows that is really where you have to begin for you to be good at something. So don't be afraid to look stupid or to look like you're trying. If you want to start doing something, just start. Don't be afraid that people are going to think you're stupid for doing it, or people are going to think you're trying too hard, or people are going to think you're something wannabe. Let them think whatever they want to think. Let yourself look stupid if that's what it looks like, as long as you know what your goals are and you know where it is that you want to be, where it is that you want to go. You really have to start at the beginning, and there's no beginnings are always, I'm not sure if they're always, but beginnings are usually humble. Like, it's very hard for beginnings to be to look good. to, yeah, it's very hard for beginnings to look good. Beginnings usually have to be humble. So don't be afraid of looking stupid as you begin to do something or learn something. The 13th lesson is that there is no other way apart from through it. This I learned during the phase where I was really, really struggling with feelings of depression. I don't think I was like clinically depressed or I was depressed, but I was struggling with feelings of depression, and I'd try to find ways to like numb those feelings or escape them, whether it's by looking for people to hang around, watching movies or reading novels, just trying to find a way to escape the feelings that I was having. And the only thing that you're doing with like trying to escape those feelings is pushing the date a bit further, but sooner or later it's going to catch up with you and you're going to be forced to face them. So if you can't face them right now, it's best to do it now, because there's really no other way around it. It's only through it, and you've got to face it, deal with them, and then you can move forward. The other lesson is that you are allowed to fall out with friends you thought you're going to be friends with your entire life. You're allowed to make new ones. You're allowed to grow distant with people you used to be very close with. And this is because you're getting older, your perspective on things is growing wider, your life is generally just becoming like a bit more wider. Like the more you grow, the more things come into your life, and the more things come into the lives of the people who are around you. And that just means that you might find yourselves on completely different paths. And that's okay, because I think when we become friends with people or when we become close with people, mostly it's because there's a thing that we share. There's a path that we are on. We're on the same path and at the same time. And when it comes to a place where we are at a junction and each of us is forced to go to different paths, I think it's okay to separate if you have to. It's okay to grow distant, because that's just life and it happens. The 15th lesson is that every interaction is an exchange. And if in any interaction there's an imbalance where it's not an exchange and really it's just one person giving and the other person receiving, and this other person who's receiving is not giving and the person that's giving is not receiving, there's going to be an imbalance, and one person or both of you, I'm not sure, are going to be bound to feel like they're being taken advantage of. This doesn't have even to be like monetary. It's in terms of energy, it's in terms of time, it's in terms of all of these things. And if in any case there's an imbalance, then that interaction becomes kind of toxic. So if you are in any situation or relationship where you're not giving or you're not receiving in any way. You're either just like giving, and you're not receiving, or you're just receiving, and you're not giving, then there's an imbalance there, and it's not a very healthy relationship. It doesn't even have to be, someone could be receiving monetarily, the other person is giving monetarily, and the other person is giving in terms of energy, etc. But there's always an I truly believe there's always an exchange in every interaction. And if I ever find, in the past, I'd find myself in such a situation and I'd stay. But right now I know better, because in any situation where the interaction had an imbalance, where I was only giving, I wasn't receiving, or I was receiving and I wasn't giving, then I've always regretted it. So right now, if I find myself in a situation where I'm just giving and I'm not receiving, I remove myself from that interaction as right away, immediately. I'm not staying there. Because I'm not about to waste my time. I'm not about to waste my energy on a relationship that is not symbiotic. The other lesson is take some time to think about things before you say the words or even just text them. So before, I used to be very, very, very impulsive at some point. But I'm beginning to learn to take a moment to really think about things. Before I say things. And sometimes, of course, I get carried away. I feel bad. I remind myself every day that I need to pause, think about something before I say it. When, for instance, I've been asked a question, or I'm just having an interaction with someone, before I say anything, whether it's giving a response to a question or I'm just like sharing anything, I take some time to pause, even just for a few seconds, and really think about what it is that I'm about to say, and find out from what point those words are coming from. Are they coming from a point of me trying to impress them? Is this really the truth for me? Is this really what I believe to be true? Is this, mostly is this true? And why exactly am I saying this? Why am I sharing this? Is it to try to prove myself to this person? Is it that I'm trying to impress them? Is it that I'm trying to boost my ego? I'm just trying to feel better about myself. Why exactly am I saying it? And if I find the intentions are not very pure, I'll try to like hold myself from saying whatever it is that I wanted to say, and later self-reflect on those things and see where those intentions are coming from and deal with that. And like I said, sometimes, a lot of times I fail, but I think it's good that I'm aware, and that when I do fail, I notice it and I remind myself to do better next time. The next lesson is heavy emotions. Feel them first, then after reflect and find out the real reason for them coming up. So emotions are going to come up in situations, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, whether it's frustration, whether it's joy. I'm learning to let myself feel them, to let myself, if I'm feeling angry, feel angry, and just let myself feel it, even when most of the time I try to do it like away from people, just so I'm not spewing my anger out to people, and so that I don't end up like ruining my relationships with people, or like ruining people's days. Try to do it away from people, especially if there are negative emotions, but I let myself feel them. And I used to be very judgmental with them, and it would just be like a voice would just be in my head, like, just stop it, Catherine. Don't feel this. Don't. Yeah, you're trying to force myself not to feel these emotions. But these days, I'm learning to let myself feel the emotions, and after I'm done feeling them, I reflect on them again, and I try to find out why, the reason behind those emotions, because they don't just come up. There's something behind them. And yeah, I try to find out why I felt it. I felt the emotion, and I think that through this practice, I've learned a lot about myself. I know what makes me angry. I know how I don't like to be treated, and I know the reason I don't like receiving or being on the receiving end of certain treatments. And yeah, I know myself better now, and I'm just not like feeling emotions, and not just like I'm not feeling emotions just out of the blue, and I don't even know why exactly I'm feeling it. I let myself feel them, and I try to find out the thing behind that emotion, because I believe that emotions, or I just learned that emotions, they are teaching you something about who you are. And yeah. So the other lesson is on fashion. So I finally think that I am getting my sense of style, what I like, or what I like, what I'm comfortable in, what I feel confident in. And I think that those are the three things, I believe that those are the three things that you need to check for you to find your own personal style and preference and taste in fashion. And I think for you to get there, you actually have to do what? You actually have to experiment with different things, just so that you know that this feels a bit constricting to me, this doesn't feel very comfortable to me, this, I don't feel good in this, I don't feel like I look good in this. And I think that if you figure those three things out, and you find your own style, then that automatically boosts your confidence, and it helps you. I believe that fashion helps you build your confidence. And yeah, it actually helps. It will even help you in like saving your money, because you won't just be buying everything that you see on the internet, everything that you see someone wearing. You're going to be getting things that you know you like, you feel comfortable in, and you feel confident in. And yeah, you start to become fashionable. And for clothes, I think I'm almost there. With my hair, I'm still experimenting. Right now we are in this era, just like most people, but I actually really like this. So yeah, in fashion I think there's also like trends, and I don't think there's anything wrong with trends. If you are a trendy girly, go with that, of course. If you're not, I still think that it's great once in a while to try the trends, to indulge a little bit with the trends once in a while. Just like be part of your timeline, be part of the timeline that you're living in. Do you know the way you see like pictures of our parents or grandparents, or just like people in the 70s or in the 80s, and they just have like this, there's a type of way they're dressing, and I think there's something really beautiful about looking back and seeing yourself participate in the things of your timeline. Yeah, so indulge a little bit with the trends. I think this advice is going out mostly to myself, but yeah, indulge a little bit with trends. If you're not the person to go for trends, indulge a little bit with the trends, but also experiment and find your own style that feels confident, comfortable, and what's the other thing that we said? Yeah, that other thing that we said that I've forgotten. The next lesson is don't burden yourself with other people's burdens. This might be a little bit hard to like accept or bring into your life, but you need to make you are your priority in your own life. And as long as you haven't dealt with your own problems, don't go around carrying everyone else's. I think that you can be able to empathize with someone's situation without putting yourself in the middle of it, because it's not your problem. And I think this sounds a bit harsh, but I think we get ourselves in situations just because you hear of someone's problems and you just want to get out of your way to solve it, and don't think that's necessarily terrible or like bad, but just make sure that you're not doing it at the expense of yourself. Just make sure that you helping someone out with that money or with that time, it's not at the expense of yourself. I really need a studio. Yeah, so make yourself a priority, and when you decide to help someone out with their problem, do it, but just make sure that it's not at the expense of yourself. And I think that you can be able to offer your support to someone while at the same time letting them solve their own problems. Yeah, you can empower someone, you can support them, you can offer your skills maybe, or your money or your time to help someone out without making it yours. Yeah, help out with whatever you can, but not at the expense of yourself, is what I'm trying to say. And the next lesson is find a way to romanticize your life, especially the mundane things that you do every day, or especially when your life has started to seem or feel too boring, like there's nothing interesting about your life. Make your life interesting. Like, you are the main character of your life, okay? And make the mundane stuff that you do every day, spice them up a little bit, and make yourself excited for life. Make sure that you are doing your best to make yourself be excited to wake up every day in the morning and live this life, because it's really short and you're not going to be here forever. Like, romanticize it, man. So how I do this is, it started out a while ago. I created a week, and for that entire week I created different personas for each day. And for instance, there was a day I pretended I was a writer at this very huge magazine, essentially Jane. If you've watched, what's the name of the series? Sikumbuki. But like, yeah, I just like created different personas from different movies, and I pretended to be that person for that entire day. And I was so excited for that week because I knew that every day I was waking up as a different person. And from that, these days what I do is, when I get up in the morning, I gauge my mood a little bit. I gauge how exactly I'm feeling within my body, in my spirit, and I decide what I'm going for the rest of that day. If I'm going for the moody, mysterious kind of thing, or if I'm going to be this bubble of energy, or if I'm just going to be a little nerd for that day. Like, I do that, and with that I provide myself the background music to move that movie, because I'm a filmmaker, remember? I look for background music to back up my mood for that day, to back up my genre for that day, and life becomes so much more exciting that way. Because like, for the character, with the mood that I've decided to go with for that day, it's going to determine what I'm going to eat that day. It's going to determine what I'm going to do for that day. It's going to determine how I'm going to dress for that day. And life becomes so much more exciting. Like, every day I wake up and I'm excited for life. I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited. Yeah. And it gives me the freedom to be on the go on certain days. It gives me the freedom to be relaxed on certain days. It gives me the freedom to be not overly happy, or like try to make everything overly nice every day. It gives me the freedom to be moody on certain days. It gives me the freedom to be happy on others. Feel like I'm on top of the world on others, and on some days feel like I'm just really a speck in the universe, and I don't hold that much importance today. Tomorrow I feel like I'm the most important person in the world, and I think that that's just life, and it's okay. Yeah, so romanticize it. You could start simply by like romanticizing your breakfast. Give me a minute. I'm really having a lot of problems today with recording. And I want to get angry, but I won't get angry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Yeah, so romanticize. We're done with that. So the next lesson is where were we? Lesson 21. Let yourself be yourself. Let you be you. Like, don't try a lot like to fit in. Let yourself be curious for something that you are curious at or curious for. Let yourself be not care for some things if you don't really care for them. Like, don't try too hard to be part of whatever's going on. Like, of course, you could try out some things. Try, learn, or like be curious about them. And if your spirit doesn't feel like it wants to be part of it, or it doesn't feel like, if you don't like it, if it doesn't entice you, like, leave it. Don't force yourself to do things or be things just so that you can fit in. Let yourself be yourself. For instance, if you're in a gathering and for example, they ask for volunteer to do something, and you feel like you want to do it, but you're just like, why isn't anyone raising their hand? Am I the odd one out? Why do I want to do this thing that nobody wants to do? If you want to do it, do it. Don't try to look for what's the word? Validation from people who are around you. Like, be whoever you are, be whoever you want to be, and that way you are going to find your little tribe of people just like you. But that will only happen if you let yourself be yourself. The next lesson is that it's okay to be wherever you're at in life. It's okay. It's okay. Accept that you are at that point in your life and tell yourself that it's okay. Whether you like it or not, accept it. Acceptance is really the first step. And then from there, you can figure out a plan for what you want, whether it's to remain in the same place or move to a different direction, but like, accept it first. I rejected like a place as art, which is unemployment, for a while, and mostly it's because I was listening to every voice from outside of me that was telling me, you need to be somewhere, or why don't you have a job yet, blah blah blah. And I just felt this pressure to not be unemployed, and I felt so embarrassed about it. And yeah, accept where you're at in life. And the next lesson, which is linked to accepting where you're at in life, is work towards your goals every single day. Write out your goals, know exactly what your goals are, and make sure that every day that you wake up, you are working towards them. You're making at least a step towards them. You don't just have goals that are sitting in your notebook or in your... what's this thing that people create on New Year's? In your Pinterest boards, in your vision boards. Make sure it's not just sitting there, but you're doing something every single day. No matter how small, you're doing something every single day to make sure that you are going towards the direction of your goals or your dreams, and you're believing in them every day. Yeah. And you're hopeful about the future. The next lesson is learn how to communicate and express yourself. This is going to help you in case opportunities are presented to you. You're able to express yourself, let people know exactly what you want, what you're good at, why you're the best person for a thing. It'll help you with maintaining your relationships because you're able to communicate clearly what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, how far you're willing to go, and how far you want someone else to go. It will make your life so much easier. Yeah. So learn how to communicate and to express yourself so that opportunities and good relationships won't just slip out of your fingers because you can't communicate. You could do this by reading books. You could do this by listening to podcast episodes. You could do this by creating your own podcast. You could do this by communicating to yourself, let's say about different topics, either by writing or just talking to yourself about something, or sharing something on your stories, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Sharing about something and gauging whether or not you feel like you have communicated your point, either from rewatching it yourself or reading it, or from the response that you get from people. It will tell you whether or not you are communicating. The other lesson, which is the number 24, is read more and learn more every day. Make sure that every day you are learning something, whether it's from reading, listening to something, or watching something, or from interactions that you're having every day, or from just reflecting about things that have happened. Make sure that you're learning something every single day. It could be something small about, let's say, people or communication, or it could be how to make a new dish, or it could be, something that is beneficial to your body, whatever. Learn something. Make sure that you're learning something every single day. Yeah. The very last lesson is that growing old is not all that bad. I used to think 25 was so old. I used to think that's, what's 25? I'm here now. And it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's actually good, because I feel like right now I'm able to do things that my younger self was not able to do, and I feel really empowered. Like, I feel like I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do previously. I've just been talking, like, not to the camera instead of into the microphone. But growing old is actually really beautiful, because you learn things, you learn from your mistakes, you begin to really know what's important and what's not. Yeah, so that's it. From me, those are the lessons that I've learned from my 25 years in this lifetime. And I'm so excited about 25. I'm excited about life, which is not something I would have said last year. But yeah, I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited about life. I'm excited to be here. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like, subscribe, share, leave a review if you're listening on the various podcast platforms. Comment, please. Thank you. You can reach out to me on our social media platforms, Grownus_podcast on Instagram, Grownus Podcast on TikTok. I'm going to leave the links in the description. I also have a blog. You should check that out. The link is going to be in the description. I also have a PDF consisting of poems that I'm selling on Hustle Sasa at 100 Kenyan shillings. Or if you want it directly, I could share it with you. Just like find me somewhere in the internet, Grownus Podcast on Instagram, DM me, and we could know how you could make that exchange. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.